Start the broadcast. Okay, we are live. Welcome to Get the News Straight. I'm your host, Glenn Sutphin. This is Chris Dorsey on this Sunday edition. Today, we'll fill you in on what Chris has been doing, because I've been sick most of this past month. We'll get that out of the way first. I know that we covered the General Assembly, and I covered the General Assembly, and then you covered a couple events yourself, which I mysteriously got blamed for saying shit at that I was never at. Thank you, Gasbag Jazzy, DJ Jazzy, whatever your name is. Telling me that I said stuff when I wasn't even at an event, which is really beyond funny. You have any?
Well, I mean,
all that?
Yeah. Well, basically, it's been about a month since we've done the last program here, and everything that we said before we finished the last show and to now is shown to be the case. Basically, the police are overtly, shutting down the streets in Richmond to
facilitate
these like psyop protesters who are surrendering and dying in front of the police, and in order to have some sort of community conversation or further the conversation, they're having these photo ops, but I guess they're more like news propaganda pieces, which is basically what all we have now is news propaganda. Like when you see something on the news, it's basically just the propagandized version from the government or the institutions that control the government, like the banking institutions and the police and the military. So we get these propagandized I guess like fluff pieces that really benefit only the government and the police. Well, the government is the police.
People pushing them are
the people pushing it are the ones that are benefiting it. Basically, these are operations where the police and the media are and the protesters themselves, some wittingly.
By and large, yeah, the protesters themselves, they're being led by people that are in contact with the police and doing all this stuff. Even if you're compartmentalized and you're not part of it, you're following people that are part of it.
I mean, it's just so obvious now that it's laughable to have anybody kind of disagree with all that we're saying, and this is what we're saying. This is led by the police. The protesters aren't shutting down the streets in downtown Richmond. It's the police that are shutting down the streets. They can't answer a simple question as like, basically, why are you guys shutting down the street? And then they're like, get the camera out of my face. Your zipper's down. Fuck you. So like, I mean, they can't answer as to why they're doing it, but why they're doing it is, well, at least in this, is we know that the cameras are rolling. They pay these newscasters and their camera crew and the mobile
propaganda wagons.
Yeah, the propaganda wagons. I mean, they pay a lot of money for that stuff, and so do the folks that are advertising on the news. So basically, what we have are these closed sets. Like we're on a closed set now. We're doing a video program. We're doing a show where we have cameras lined up to catch this and to propagate information. That's what these Black Lives Matter, peeps and police, these community conversations are. They are just propaganda pieces to manage the population. And we showed it. It's obvious. We know who the undercover fucking narcs are around here. And it doesn't even matter because they're all like, of the police. even the ones that aren't like from the police, what are they doing? It's like, oh, the biggest, like, you know, anarchist of them all, what are they doing? Let me ask the fucking police
And
fucking
city
spokesperson
council,
what's going on. And it's like, oh, that's what's going on? The city council is like working with the protesters to shut down an open meeting, you know, of the Richmond city government that's been in existence, you know, since the founding and before the founding of this country, where basically the cops and the freaking council are conspiring and allowing folks to shut down the government meetings, and that this is like a plan.
Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, the whole thing, you stand there and you watch, and you just watch our videos. That's the easiest thing. You can see everything I caught on film.
Watch the videos.
You know, you got Charles Willis coming up telling the protesters that they're not going to do this and they're not going to do that, and then he stands up and says, I'm their leader. Well, and then who was he talking to right before he walked down? Steve Drew. Wow, well, Steve Drew's with the police. Yeah. Okay, so Steve Drew's with the police and Charles Willis is with the protesters, and both of them are talking, and then they shake their head, and Charles walks down, I'm in charge, and I told them this, and I told them that. Well, when it's right on film and it comes out and says it, it's kind of hard to deny it.
Right, and that is after, months after, him appearing, here we got some flyovers now, appearing on the Channel 12 News as a leader of the protesters, and he was standing out in front of the, what was it, second or third precinct?
Second precinct.
Second precinct.
On TV.
On TV, saying how he is being instructed by the police as to how to carry out the protest.
And how he was trained by the police to do this.
Right. So we get beyond just saying, like, okay, show up at the protest and see how it goes down. Just go in with a blank slate. Don't think anything. Don't believe. Because, like, if you go, one thing you will see is that the police are surrounding the protesters with guns, and that the protesters are always on government property, and they're always surrendering, being surrounded by the police. That's it. That's all you need to know. But beyond that, how we get to that point is we have identified individuals who are overtly working with the police, and they're not hiding it, and we have, you know, we know what's going on. Like, we have our inside sources within these protest movements. I mean,
I'm not going to give all my stuff away.
We know what's going on. We know they had planned on doing a disruption at this last meeting. And we know that the leaders of the protest, Charles Willis, and then therefore, what is that guy's name? Jamil Jay-Z, who we have on camera taking orders from Charles Willis right before they all walk out without making their disruption.
Dinosaur walk. Yeah.
We have Charles Willis talking to Steve Drew. Charles Willis talking to the pastor roommate of city council president. Like, they're talking to, like, all of these, like, same fucking folks. Excuse my language. I was attempting not to do that. But anyways, we have all these folks on camera, like, this is who's doing this, this is who's doing this. It's not just that it's, like, obvious, like, you know, on the surface level, if anyone were to go, like, you know, what's going on here? What's the main overarching theme is that these folks are lying down and, like, raising their hands, and they're surrounded by the police, and they're, like, surrendering. Okay, like, anybody can see that. But here is how it's done in the micro, and then we start getting into, like, you know, okay, well, they, you know, falsely arrested me, charged me with a crime, allegedly, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they allegedly arrested me because I was told I was under arrest and multiple other things that would lead one to, think that they are arrested, and then retracted in the same incident at the same time. I don't want to overcomplicate things, but basically, one does not have to wonder what's really going on and who's behind something when an individual, and I'll say myself, when I am scheduled to, be a participant, as is my God-given right in this meeting, and I follow the parliamentary rules of procedure always, more than anyone else that participates in those city council meetings. I am always in order. So I'm always in order in the meetings, and I'm always exercising my guarantees and rights, and I am accused of disrupting a meeting, standing during the meeting, being out of order, being disorderly, etc., and am, have video evidence that that's not the case, and am sanctioned, slandered, assaulted, abducted, etc. Not making this up. Everybody, anybody who knows anything knows this. But the folks who are actually doing that, what happens?
They stood up later and interrupted the meeting, and nothing went up.
The police guarded them to make sure that they could disrupt the meeting. They guarded them to make sure that they couldn't be scrutinized. So they are actually out of order. And what does the council do to sanction these folks? Nothing. They say, you're out of order? Now we're out of order. We're going to suspend this meeting. Recess. Okay. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that everything else that has happened in a Richmond City Council meeting before that, I mean, we could do this with all the meetings, but beyond a shadow of a doubt, it doesn't mean anything, because the last meeting was not properly, started and ended.
Well, when they vote to break the rules, after they've already been breaking the rules, then they vote to break the rules. So, they're a joke. I mean, it's, well, we haven't followed the rules anyway, so let's vote to break them. Okay, we'll vote to break them. We'll do what we want. Right. You've been doing what you want anyway.
Right. And that's what we get into, like, when we get into, like, the inside baseball. That's actually, it's like necessary for my journey, but obviously, because I know about this stuff, but I don't think it's necessary for everybody's journey, but, I'm not the judge of that. But what I know is they always make the biggest decision based on special use permits. Because they make their own rules where it's so advantageous to them, you wouldn't think they would ever have to break their own rules. But when they want to, they just go like, well, we'll grant a special use permit for the Washington Redskins to fucking do whatever they want to on city and state property, and the taxpayers will have to pay for it. Well, I think that's against the master plan. Special use permit. All the biggest stuff, they have to get a special use permit, and they're the ones that make the rules. So, again, it's like Glenn said, like, they're not following the rules anyways. And then, like, when they go up against something that's so obvious that even, like, one of the crooked members of the council points it out, that it's like, hey, this is really against the rules, then it's not like nobody will vote. It's not like the council members, any of them will vote against it. Maybe one will abstain, and it'll go, like, 8-0.
Well, even when one abstains, they go, oh, it's unanimous.
It still is unanimous, because he abstained.
It's like...
Or she abstained.
You have members that, we're not going to vote. Oh, well, everybody agreed.
Oh, right.
Vote.
Okay.
You didn't agree.
Well, here's something that maybe, like, as we go along, and again, we do have like a small amount of folks, because we're talking about like two very like niche issues. It shouldn't be, but it is, and basically that's corruption in government as a whole, and then specific corruption inside the Richmond government. So like, since we're talking about that, and the Virginia General Assembly's in session, one of the local activists, we've worked with on stuff, with involving nuclear leaks and radioactive tritium getting into our water table in the central Virginia region as a result of a nuclear leak at the North Anna nuclear power plant that was damaged by an earthquake, which is on an earthquake fault line, which we got the NRC on camera admitting all of these things, and we have urged and ordered the local prosecutors and the state prosecutors to prosecute these folks for reckless endangerment, because that can wipe us out and all this other stuff. But anyways, this is Erica Gray has worked on with us on those subjects and some others. But we have diverged a little bit because she seems to think that the establishment is something that should be lobbied and not, neutralized by all and any means. So, basically, she said they're about to pull a fast one tomorrow, and that they're going to put, offshore, oil rigs right off the coast of Virginia, where our great country was founded. There's going to be oil rigs and oil spills. So she says they're going to pull a fast one, and I replied by saying they always pull a fast one. It's always it's like they don't try to pull a fast one. They just pull a fast one. They just do it. But again, when I remember when Bob McDonnell was campaigning against Cree deeds, Bob McDonnell had, as a stating that he was all in favor of green energy, was promoting in this green energy plan offshore drilling off the coast of Virginia by 2016. It's 2015 now. When was that campaign for governor? That was like 5-6 years ago. So, we've known for 5 or 6 years that they're going to put oil rigs off the coast. They're going to do oil drilling off the coast of Virginia. We've known it for 6 years, and now the 6 years is up, and here we have it. Just like when Glenn and others have been talking about Agenda 21 for the past 20 years, and everything's going as scheduled.
Yeah, it's going according to their plan, and it hasn't deviated, and people, you don't know what you're talking about, but yet it comes and goes, and I'm still saying the same thing. And it's holding true year after year, getting worse, and if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm doing a damn good job at it, because I'm hitting it right all along. So.
Right, because if you want to see them telegraph it, you have to do some work, but the information's there.
And they don't telegraph it a day or two in advance. It's years in advance. You got to go back sometimes 20, 30 years to find out what they're doing. And that's why people, you got to know your history. You got to learn history. That's where it's at. Agenda 21 is history. It's a historic fact, not a conspiracy theory. Rio Earth Summit 92 is when they issued in Agenda 21 for the world.
Right.
On record. H.W. Bush was part of that. The New World Order. Okay, it's not a conspiracy. I'm not an idiot because I pay attention. But to you all I am, so I live with it.
Well,
I listen to you all, but then I look at you and go, you're stupid. Because you don't listen to the facts. You don't listen to the truth. They've got you believing all the lies, and you eat the lies. And you tell everybody, you can repeat the lies ad nauseum in your sleep because you know them so well. and they got you cognitive dissonance in your brain where you're accepting, almost Stockholm syndrome, you're accepting them and protecting them, trying to tell us that we don't know anything. I've got it on video of Willis walking down and saying this stuff. Oh, I don't know anything. My camera is the conspiracy theorist because it picks up stuff that nobody sees. It, put it out there. I report on what my camera sees. So if you want the conspiracy theorist, it's my camera, because it's recording stuff that people don't see or don't want to see. So I just needed to get that one out.
Well, I mean, I completely agree. I think the folks probably watching this, you know, I mean, it's not...
I'm not saying everybody,
yeah.
I'm saying the troglodytes that come up to me
right.
with no fucking proof, and then you don't actually, and then I show them, oh, well, here's George Soros funding the Black Lives Matter, hashtag Black Lives Matter, started by George Soros. Oh, well, you got no proof. Here it is in the news. Oh, well, you're still stupid.
Right. Well,
maybe I am.
I mean, it's one of those things now where, like, it's there. Like, now is like the filtering process, I think, where it's like, if the folks, if you want to just keep arguing about, like, we don't know what we're talking about, or, like, you know, like, you're wrong about this, then good. Like, stay over there. Like, if folks do really want to know what's going on, I mean, we're constantly researching this stuff. So it's not like we, we come to some sort of conclusion that fits in with our worldview and our, you know, ego-driven opinion, and just say, like, okay, we're going to stick to this, and we're going to put out only information that we're attempting to get to the bottom of everything. And the bottom of everything really is that the Constitution, that's the law. Basically, government is a tool created by man, and it's become a Frankenstein monster. And basically, we have folks overtly in every society throughout the world bowing down and sacrificing themselves willingly and being rewarded by the propaganda arms of society for sacrificing their own life, which is the only thing the government's supposed to protect, for the government, which is only to serve man, but man will sacrifice himself for the government that's supposed to serve man. Okay, so we've got all that. We've got all this stuff. So basically, what we do? It's all like fake. It's all an illusion. It's all bullshit.
It's all reality TV.
It's reality TV. Well, there we go. Like, that might be a good segue, and maybe I'll see if I can get this, spot for like the.
Yeah, I think your camera turned off.
I think it. Yeah, I think it did too. But anyway, we'll still do the segue, and maybe I can get this for the show on my nightly intelligence report.
Here, I'll hold that then. I'll film it while you do it.
Yeah. So the reality TV show. I saw Silver Persinger. Is it going? I don't think the red light's on. Oh, yeah, it is. Let me see it. Oh, fucked. Oh, no, it's not. Just gotta press that button.
Alright.
Sorry. Anyway, my apologies.
We're
live. Bear with us. I mean, it's worth it, because, like, this is information you're not going to get any... Is the red light on?
There we go.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for bearing with us. It's worth it. This is information you're not going to get anyplace else. On Tuesday, at the Richmond Police Training Headquarters on Graham Road, there's going to be an event that's called Peeps and Police. And one thing that I'm going to say there, or one idea I'm going to make very clear at this event, is that the police are nothing more than the thugs and enforcers for the criminal gang known as the United States government, which is headed by the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a private, foreign-owned central bank that takes its marching orders from a bank in Basel, Switzerland called the Bank for International Settlements. And to put it on a more localized level, the police are only the protectors of the corporations and the ruling class, the wealthy usury class that is unlawfully controlling the government. They're the enforcement arm for the 1%, and they exist in violation of the Constitution, and the Constitution grants all power to the people and states that God creates man and man creates government, and government's only purpose is to protect the rights of man, which are God's rights and the natural law given to man. So what we have now is a loggerhead where the police are killing folks on camera by the thousands. They've declared war on the American people because that's the order that they've been given by the institutions that control government, who are treasonous and are engaged in war against the American people. The police are becoming more militarized, which is unlawful. Therefore, we are going to kickstart a national movement requiring, and the word require is very key, the Richmond Police Department and others in this locality to begin turning over their equipment and disbanding. And we are going to instate what the proper law enforcement arm is under our form of government, which is a constitutional republic, and that is the militia, which is made up of the body of the people. This is very simple. Our money is being used to create prisons to put us in cages. Our money is being used in acts of war against us. Our money is being used to create nuclear weapons and nuclear power plants and energy sources that can wipe out the planet. And those that are using our money for doing that have created, using our energy and resources and so-called money, which is only our debt slavery, they have used our resources to create an escape route for when they make the surface of the planet unlivable. Therefore, common knowledge shows us, and the common law says, that we must gather up the arms and begin enforcing the law, which is to arrest the leadership of the institutions that control the United States government in every city, state, and town across this country, and it needs to be done around the world as well. That's what we're going to say. That's what I'm going to say. And that's what the people are going to say on Tuesday at the Peeps and Police. And it'll also be the people, the peeps, and the police. The people, the peeps, and the police. So that's all I got for that one. And we'll close out the show, but that's it. I'm out as far as the weekly intelligence or the daily intelligence briefing. But that's as simple as it gets. Just shut that one off. But
by the way, these are peeps.
I know. Okay.
These are peeps.
So how is that? I mean, really, is this really getting to the point where it's so ridiculous that they are going to like minimize the population of the United States, that they're going to say like, oh, we're going to have a serious discussion, a community meeting with the police, and like, what are your rights, and if a cop tells you to get your hands out of your pocket, what do you have to do, and when the cop does this, it's like, it's because peeps. They want you to think that you're like peep, because it's like, what's the most powerful word? What is the ruler of everything in the United States of America? According to the government, according to the rules of the government, the people are the most powerful. So what do? They try to minimize the word people, because it doesn't say we the peeps. Does it say we the peeps of the United States?
It doesn't say we the citizens.
It doesn't say, it says we the people. It doesn't say we the peeps. Man, you people make me sick. You make me
belittling
sick.
you to your face, and you're accepting it. You're like, oh, we're peeps, we're peeps, we're peeps. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not a citizen either. That's repugnant to me, because citizens are governed under the government and obey the government. They don't obey the rule of law.
So, peeps. Okay. Peeps, and this one is especially, appropriate. Because it says peeps, and what's peeps? Oh, it's minions. So, what are they saying when they go to Glenn and the man called Chris Dorsey and say, like, hey, come to our community meeting with Community Clovia. Let's come to this meeting with Community Clovia. And what are we going to do? Like, it's a meeting with the citizenry and the community and the police. And what are we going to call it? Peeps and police. What does it say in the Constitution? Does it say in the Constitution, we the peeps? So what are we children here? They're gonna shorten the most important word and change it from being the most powerful thing in the United States law to make it something that's synonymous with being a fucking minion and being a marshmallow in popular culture?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Well, there we have it.
Your stupidity offends me.
Amen. We'll leave it on that one. So I mean, it's like it really is.
And just remember this: peeps is one letter off from perps.
Right. Peeps. And, right. Okay. So I think that's real fucking key, because like it's always real fucking telling how like the police discuss what's going on with the folks that they allegedly serve. To hear how these folks talk about their the folks that they go out, but it's like exactly like the American Sniper, and how he and his crew would talk about the Iraqi children that he would murder, and like here's one where if folks weren't actually just on purpose, taking us and just trying to like minimize what we're saying, because there's nobody that says anything more controversial than us, but it's like this guy Chris Kyle, like he got taken out at a shooting range.
Yeah. By a supposed Muslim now, or whatever he was.
Well, I mean, I guess
whatever their new narrative is that they're trying to push.
Whatever the new narrative is they're trying to push. I mean, I guess that shows you something there. It shows you that, like, oh yeah, well, you think you can fucking go off and get away with killing a bunch of fucking children in a foreign country for as a mercenary for bankers? Well, guess what? America really is. I mean, there are some true Americans out there, and the true Americans know that's bullshit, and that that guy Chris Kyle, he's no fucking hero. That guy's a loser. He's a murderer. He's the guy that like hides and like shoots from the farthest possible distance away. Like, isn't that like the epitome of like being a coward? I mean, at least freaking John Wilkes Booth, allegedly went right up to Abe Lincoln and and like
in the back of the head, bang, and then when I get it,
and took out his freaking and not saying that that's cool, because I much prefer like duels if folks are going to go down that route. But like it's all about this order. They set up an order, but like we have a more like ancient order. So like it's their order versus our order. So like it's not like we can't figure out exactly what to do with all the guns and all the nuclear weapons. Like, get ready, because they're gonna escalate the nuclear false flags. They have already had nuclear false flags, so I'm not gonna say that we're gonna have like the first nuclear false flag, because I do want to remind folks that there have been since the 1945 targeting of innocents in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there have been tens of thousands of nuclear explosions, and some of those have been nuclear false flags, and others have just been overt testing that everybody knows about. But they're starting to escalate them, and they're going to start creating some like more mass casualty events, like like 9/11, because the mass casualties are still coming with 9/11 because of all of the asbestos and all of the radiation and other crap that was
So the one big ass mistake America has already said that there was going, they might light a nuke off on American soil. So heaven forbid if it goes off in one of our cities. What's that?
Well,
he's asking for
Charleston Harbor, Lindsey
Graham that was like, oh, we're going to be bombed, and then there's 2 nuclear missiles missing from Dyess Air Force.
And then there's a freaking earthquake in South Carolina, like when and folks are reporting that it was they were gonna detonate the nuke in the continental United States, and then they decided that they were gonna do it undersea. Maybe not, but the nukes are missing.
They're gone. Everything. Right. It's like, and it just fell off the news report. Nobody remembers it. Nobody cares.
So let's I like to take this like at a more or a less, I should say, abstract level. So who's controlling this stuff? The same folks that jam you up on your taxes. The same folks that freaking steal your land. The same folks that pull you over and give you a ticket because they say you didn't fucking come to a complete stop at the fucking stoplight. The same folks that are kicking down the door. The same folks that have killed like 5,000 innocent Americans in the last 5 years and have never been held to account, not once. Not once. Don't even attempt to tell me that any of these incidents where these cops have even lost their job, don't even tell me that that's them being held to account. Not once have these folks been held to account. So it's the same guys. So why on earth do we trust giving all of our money to folks who have a written down agenda to annihilate us, abolish us, and take us out, and that they're doing all of the plans to do so, and along the way, as we speak, I mean, God bless the people of Syria, because they're wiping them out right now. God bless the people of Iraq, because man, they wiped them out like what was it, the past 20 years?
Gaza and all the
God bless the people of Gaza.
Not only that, look at Africa. How many Africans?
Oh man, yeah, like every freaking country. Uganda, like.
And don't talk about Sudan. Don't talk about race-specific bioweapons that are created there that are used against the people here.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay, all that stuff is going on right now. Civil war in Nigeria. Okay, right now that's going on. So then we go like, okay, well, I was watching something last night where they were talking about MOVE headquarters in Philadelphia being bombed in 1985 by the Philadelphia police, and the Branch Davidian complex in fucking Waco, Texas, and like all this stuff, and it's like, all along the way, it's like, there have been hundreds of deaths over the year at the Richmond City Jail carried out by the Richmond Sheriff's Department, and the Richmond police have murdered dozens and dozens and dozens of... So it's like, who's the most prolific murderous gang in America? It's the police. Oh, who's above them? Well, they're just... you can't separate the police from the United States military. And the United States military, what is that? That's nothing. It's nothing but the enforcement arm of the institutions that control the government. If you think that David Rockefeller is any different than what's the guy what's his name? I can't even think of the richest foreigner guy. Oh, Evelyn de Rothschild. Because one is British and the other is American. Like, no, it's the same thing. They work together. It's those families, and they control China. They control Russia. And they put out these false narratives like Putin doesn't like Obama, and like Bush doesn't like Saddam, and like all this other stuff. But that's not how it works. The enemy is whoever is above you in this current system. That's the enemy.
The one that you're not allowed to, to know who rules over you,
find out who you can't criticize.
Can't criticize.
That's like it's attributed to Voltaire, but basically it's like, hey, if you don't, you can criticize. Getting my start in politics, I guess like high level politics, because I've always been involved in politics. Everybody has, even if they ignore everything, because they've been taken into account and they're being watched, and that's the way they love it. They love it if folks don't participate in politics in any way. They love it. That's what they want the most of. So that's a political movement to distract people. But I started out in the Democratic Party, and I realized during the Bush administration, that's when I really got my start in high politics, like between the years like 2000 and 2008, started really figuring out like exactly what the score was. And the Democratic Party, as long as you criticize the Republicans, you could be criticizing the Republicans for exactly what the Democrats are doing, and they'll go like, great job, Chris, way to go, front page of the Richmond Free Press, great work. Coverage in the Times-Dispatch. We're not dragging you out by the police at all. We're putting you up in, in front of the police. We're doing this. But then you start criticizing everybody who's doing everything, and then it's like, no, none of that. Because it's not the Democrats, it's not the Republicans, it's not the Libertarians. If the Libertarian Party were to win the next 10 elections, basically, they would be the most criminal body, no matter what they say their agenda is.
Because they will continue the same agenda that's in place.
Because, again, the number one trick they use is they say one thing, and then they do another. But, also, they always let you know that it's going on. They'll deny that they have any plans to fucking drill for oil in the Commonwealth of Virginia, in 1992. But that stuff has already been planned back. This 2016 drilling off the coast of Virginia, that had been planned years ago. It's not like they just came up with this idea before the last two governors' elections. Man, they had that stuff planned a long time. They know when they're going to do it. They have everything rigged, so why wouldn't they do everything the right way? They wouldn't. They do everything the right way. They do it according to a plan. They're not messing around.
No, it's all been pre-planned, just like Agenda 21, and then piggyback that onto Project for the New American Century, written by Jeb Bush. it's a continuation of Agenda 21 to keep you enslaved, to keep you so you can't rise up and do anything.
But here's what I say about Project for a New American Century. And so if we're gonna get maybe we'll get a little inside baseball with the Project for a New American Century. But the way I comprehend the Bush family from a lot of folks is that they're tied in with the usurping British royal family. Okay,
yeah, cousins.
They're cousins,
distant cousins,
cousins of the usurpers of the British royal family. And that they are, basically minions of the Harriman family, of the Harriman Bank, who were big in kind of the mind control operations over the Soviet government, and that the Harriman family were shills of the Rothschild. So when I look at Project for a New American Century, keeping all of that in mind, what I see is Jewish neocons, and they're strategically timed, Republican and Democratic, allegedly Gentile. And I think the Bush family is very well documented as crypto Jews who are actually Jewish but are pretending since the 18th century at least to be Gentiles, kind of like their cousins, the British royal family.
Well, it's just a continuation on the same theme. Everybody, the Project for the New American Century. It's just a continuation of Agenda 21, which was a continuation of the eugenics movements and everything else.
Right.
And, look at Kellogg and those people that were back in the 18th century. You got to go way back to start looking at this stuff, and people won't. That happened in the 18th century. It doesn't affect us now. The hell it don't. We're living under it.
Oh, yeah.
So they set it up. They started it. They did it. We're living it.
Okay, so here's what I want to know all the time is when they go like, "Oh, you idiot! The Rothschilds don't even have that much money anymore. Oh, you idiot! Yeah, the Jews used to run the bank, but that's before this happened." And so I go like, okay. Well, let's go back to that point where it's like, when is it that these folks agree to give up all their power? That's what I want to see. It's like, oh, well, the British, they surrendered. The Mason Cornwallis surrendered to the Mason, Lafayette, who was carrying the sword of the Mason, George Washington, who had all of these, things, pre-planned and agreed to, and okay, and then there's another war 20 years later with the same group of people. So, what exactly is the agreement, or when these wars end, they're just basic continuations. It's
they're a continuation on a theme.
It's a continuation on a theme. There were 2 million Iraqis that were killed through bombings and through the withholding of food and medicine during the Clinton administration. But they go, okay, there's the first Gulf War and then there's the second Gulf War, but there was war the whole time. So these are just things where it's okay, now it's this part of the plan. Now we unleash this part of the plan, and we'll call it a world war, and we'll initiate it by doing this, and we'll pit this nationality versus that nationality, and how are we going to win? We'll hedge, and we'll bet on both sides, because we'll always win. Because that's the other thing. Okay, if the Nazis were for real, and they're the ones that are still running things, then how is it that the Jewish bankers are at their freaking apex, and the Jews got their fingers on the nuclear buttons for the United States with the general who's in charge of all the nuclear weapons called Jack Weinstein, or named Jack Weinstein, and they got their finger on the control of all the political power through Janet Yellen and Stanley Fischer, who run the Federal Reserve Bank, and the wealthiest neighborhoods in America, despite having an American general population of about 2% of Jews, those neighborhoods are about 60 to 70% Jewish, and they run Hollywood, and they run. So if the Nazis won, which okay, I'll go down that road, because I'm with you. Okay, the Nazis won. Yeah, they did win, and they were against Jews. Here's here's the big, like, if they were not against the Jewish agenda, they were just a part of it. And, like, okay, there might be a greater, thing above the Jewish agenda, but there's not anything above the Jewish agenda that anybody I'm talking to can comprehend in an actionable manner on this plane. Other than follow the money to the top. If we discover new information, we'll be, neutralizing one group instead of another. But again, who was the top banker in Germany before, during, and after the war? Warburg. Okay, so like Germany controlled all that vast land around Europe. Which one of the Rothschilds did they get? How did they shut down the Rothschild banking cartel? Why were they doing business with the Bank for International Settlements, which was a Rothschild front operation? Like, they captured a Rothschild and then they let him go. So, like, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Okay. The same bank that controls Russia controls the United States. The same Lubovichers that are leading Barack Obama around by the fucking, tie. Do a quick internet search and you'll see them doing the same thing to Vladimir Putin. Okay, so like, there we have it. You follow the money. Doesn't matter who it is. The person with the money is your enemy. The person with the money is your enemy. So, like, if I'm doing that and that's some sort of, like, hypnotic mind control thing that I'm doing, like, then I'm doing it consciously. I was doing it unconsciously before, but now I'm doing it consciously. That is your enemy. Whoever has the most money, that is your enemy. We need to redraw the map of the United States again. We need to take the property away from those who are treasonous against the United States, and we, the people, require it back. So, I mean, that's how I want to close it out. Unless you want to close it out
I think we'll end it there because I'm not really feeling all that great today.
Cool.
So I think we did pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good show.
So this has been Get the News Straight. I'm Glenn Sutphin. This is
Chris Dorsey. We'll see you Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll definitely be there Tuesday for Peeps and Police.
People and police.
Well, yeah, we'll go people and police, but yeah, definitely. Peeps and police. I'm going to be there because I'm always there.
And I think the minions will probably be there too.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's it for tonight, people. Good night.
Peace. God bless.